Welcome, 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 everybody, to Applied Metaphysics for Goal Setting. I'm so excited that you're here. I am Michael Roque. Many of you know, some I don't. To everyone that's here, hi. Good to have you aboard, and super glad and excited to be spending a few weeks with you and talking about this crazy thing called goal setting, why sometimes it seems to happen so easily and we achieve our goals, and why other times we don't achieve our goals and things don't show up in our life. And so that's really the heart or the intention of the next few weeks that we spend together, because in my own life, I've basically had a lot of success in some areas, and other areas of my life I really haven't. And so over the past 40 years, I've been really looking at that to try to figure out and understand why. And so I'm really excited to be presenting this to you, because what's happened, especially in the last few years of my life, things are starting to show up on a regular basis. And I'm starting to get a better feel for that. And so because of that, I'm excited. I want to share that with you and really come together and share this information with you, understanding that just like everybody else, I'm learning as well. So I welcome you, whether you're very brand new at goal setting or whether you've been doing it for a while. I can't wait to share some information with you. Can't wait to hear what you've got going on in your life and what's working for you and what's not. And together, when we do this, then it just makes the whole process a lot more fun. So welcome, 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 welcome. So I want to dive in right away with this idea of goal setting and talk about something that's called the process of creation. And in certain realities or certain theories, in terms of the process creation, it's actually a pretty simple process. In that, it's really simple. We ask, the universe responds, we receive, and when all of those things work, we are happy campers, right? Just like the girl in the picture. Hey, look out, look at life. Hey, I'm so happy, and everything else like that. And that's one way it happens. Now, what can have a tendency to happen sometimes, or what often happens, is we ask, the universe responds, and we don't receive. And then what? Oh, you're sad, like the puppy, right? So, and we're often left asking this question: why? Why does sometimes it work and sometimes it doesn't work? And so what I want to do is I want to start talking about really the foundation of this entire course, and it's something called metaphysics. So many people are asking is, what's metaphysics? All right. So let's talk about metaphysics for just a moment. And this is coming from a definition in the book Heart-Centered Metaphysics by Paul Hesselbeck. He's one of my favorite Unity teachers. And in his book, and by the way, you don't need to go out and buy the book. I'm going to be referencing it. It's a great book if you want to get it, but you don't have to have it. But metaphysics is a branch of philosophy that is concerned with the fundamental nature of reality and being. In its broader sense, a study of metaphysics explores areas that are considered to be above and beyond the physical senses. And I want to focus on that, this idea of it's above and beyond the physical senses. And so I often like to consider metaphysics, when we're studying about it, we're going back to a concept that's called first principle. Is first principle, if you want to go look it up, is this idea of what is really creating everything. I've heard Elon Musk talk about this, and he traces it all the way back to Aristotle, who talked about this idea of what is actually creating everything. And that's what metaphysics is all about. So we believe that as we study these concepts, these ideas, that we're getting to the root of what is really causing these things to show up in our life. And that's what the study of metaphysics really is all about. So I want to talk about this idea, or something called the tools of creation. In other words, these are the tools that we can use, should we decide to use them, that are called the tools of creation. And what I would say is that we really are using them. It's just the question is, are we doing it consciously or unconsciously, which is going to be a whole nother conversation throughout the course of this video anyways. But what are the tools of creation? What are these things that we use to create? And the three tools of creation are our thoughts, our words, and our actions. So those three things are our primary tools of creation. And I want to spend some time this morning just talking about these different tools. So first of all, what happens is with our tools of creations, when all of them are in alignment with our goals, our thoughts, our words, our actions, we just explode. In other words, everything just seems to happen easily, almost effortlessly. It's really, really, really simple. And it's just boom, we are off like the rocket in the picture. However, when they aren't in alignment with our goals, those thoughts, those words, those actions, then what happens? Well, we kind of look like the guy at the computer that's sitting there grabbing his head going, my God, why does things have to be so difficult, right? I think we've all been there. So let's talk about each one of these tools of creation. And we start off with the first ones, which is our thoughts. So our thoughts. Now, our thoughts. We create our experiences by the activity of our thinking. Secondly, everything in the manifest realm has its beginning in thought. Thirdly, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Now, if you take all of those comments that I just made there, that's also referred to as something called the law of mind action, which again, we believe, and so do a lot of people, that our thoughts are powerful and they can make things happen in our life, right? Well, if that's the case, Mike, then okay, tell me what's the problem? Well, the problem is we fail to realize how powerful our thoughts are. We often think unconsciously. Our thoughts are often out of alignment with what we want in our life, and we often direct our thoughts in the wrong direction. Okay, then if that's the problem, then what can we do about it? Well, the solution is, and that's what we're going to be spending this entire course discussing, is number one, realize how powerful your thoughts are. Number two, choose to think consciously versus unconsciously. Number three, make sure your thoughts are in alignment with what you're wanting in your life. And finally, direct your thoughts consciously by using certain tools and techniques that we're going to be talking about in the course, by using prayer, affirmations, and denials. So that's our thoughts. Now, let's talk about our words. And what you're going to start to notice is there's a certain rhythm that I'm using when I start talking about these different tools for creation. So our words. So let's talk about our words. They have energy and they have power. They contain a vibrational quality, right? And they can be directed. Okay. So then, Mike, well, what's the problem? Here's the problem. We fail to realize how powerful our words are. We often use words unconsciously. Our words are often out of alignment with what we want in our life, and we often direct our words in the wrong direction. Seems like the same way or format this problem is the same one we had in our thoughts. You would be correct. And so therefore, what's the solution? Pay attention, right? First of all, realize how powerful your words are. They have power. Choose to use your words consciously. You're going to see that word consciously showing up a lot in this course. Make sure your words are in alignment with what you're wanting in your life. Direct your words consciously by using prayer, affirmations, and denial. Kind of sounds similar to what our thoughts, the solution for our thoughts were. Yes, it is. That's not a mistake. So let's take a minute and talk about our final and third tool, which is called our actions. So our actions or non-actions create our reality. And by the way, for those of you asking, non-action is still an action. They contain a vibrational quality and they can be directed, right? So if that's the case, then great. Well, what's the problem? Well, it sounds a lot like what's going on, the problem with our thoughts and our words. And that is we fail to realize how powerful they are. Secondly, we often take unconscious action. Thirdly, our actions are often out of alignment with what we want in our life. And finally, we often direct our action in the wrong direction. Similar to the first two solutions. So then what is the solution? How about realizing how powerful your actions are? Number two, choose to take action consciously. Number three, make sure that your actions are in alignment with what you're wanting in your life. And finally, direct your actions consciously by focusing on your goals. So what I'm going to have you do now is I'm going to have you do an exercise where you're going to do something called the alignment exercise. There is a attachment, a PDF that you can print off and do this and keep in your binder, by the way, I would suggest. And in this alignment exercise, what are we going to do? Well, first of all, we're going to talk about, okay, so what are you trying to accomplish? What is your goal? And then we're going to have you just ask yourself a few simple questions. My thoughts about my goal are, my words about my goal are, and my actions about my goal are. And what we're trying to do is just trying to have you subtly, and by the way, when you do this, we don't do any shame, blame, guilt, or judgment. So this is a non-blame, shame, guilt, or judgment zone. We're trying to look at this thing honestly and see what's going on in our mind to see where there may be something that's out of alignment with what it is that we're trying to create in our life. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to go through this exercise, spend as much time as you need to go through that, and just start to play with this idea like, okay, what are my thoughts? What are my words? What are my actions that I'm currently doing when it comes to this thing I'm trying to manifest in my life? Just to give yourself an awareness of where you may be in alignment with what you're trying to create and where you may be out of alignment. Okay. Other than that, we will see you during the week when we get together and we can discuss these even further with each other. Okay.